Do not leave this podcast without going to the link in the show notes or description and clicking on the link to learn our centralization process. We will show you what you're missing in your sciatica recovery. And in this link, there will be a very important opportunity at the end for you to learn exactly what this plan could look like for you. Hello and welcome to episode 94 of the Low Back Pain Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Grant Elliott with RehabFix online low back program. And today's topic is, when should you do your rehab exercises? When should you do your exercises for sciatica, for disc herniation? When should you do them? How often should you do them? These are questions we get every single day on the free video exercises, the posts that we make on our social media. On our TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, we always get asked, how many reps? When should we do it? How often? Should you do this every day? Should you do it, once a week? How often should you do this? I'm going to give you a general prescription for different movements, different frequencies, and ultimately the guide that you should follow to figure out how to get the most out of your rehab. So, I'm going to divide this into two main categories, okay? Let's just vaguely call one category a mobility type movement and a strength type movement. So mobility, strength. Those are the two different categories we're going to use. If it is a mobility-based movement, there are a few contextual factors that matter, such as how this exercise feels to you, in what your body's used to, of course. These are why our clients are hiring us, experts, to guide them through this process. But those of you who are listening, this is to give you good ideas, okay? These things matter. But generally speaking, for mobility-based movements, these are movements that we encourage our clients to do quite frequently, okay? What does quite frequently mean? Well, mobility-based movements could be performed anywhere from 2 to 3 times a day to 8 to 10 times a day. Mobility movements are ones that, for the most part, once again, this depends on many factors. It depends on each individual. These are movements that you can do frequently, pretty dang frequently. This is the most common category for individuals who we find are not doing enough. They're going too low in their frequency. We'll talk to clients every single day that we'll go through an assessment with, and they'll say, oh yeah, I've tried so many exercises on the RehabFix page. I've tried so many exercises that you guys show. I do them, like every day. And we'll say, oh, okay, you do them every day. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I do them every day. And they're almost like, crazy. I can't believe I do this every day. And we'll say, oh, how many times a day? Well, they'll be like, well, once, but I do it every day. And we'll go, yeah, that's not that much. That's not that much. There are certain mobility movements focused for disc herniation correction that we have had clients do 5 different times a day, 10 different times a day, sometimes even more in rare, unique circumstances where it is warranted. So if you're doing a mobility type movement and you're doing that only once a day, I am going to say only once a day, it's not that much. That's not that much. A lot of people feel like that's a lot. That's about 30 seconds a day that you're dedicating towards your spine. If you're just doing one mobility movement a day, it's about 30 seconds. That's not a lot of time. So mobility movements, one, you have to identify the right one for you. You got to know what the right one is. Once again, this is why we go through an hour-long assessment with every single one of our clients, because we don't want you to guess. But once you find the right one, these are generally the ones that you can go pretty high with frequency on. Okay, they're the ones that you would do more than a strengthening movement. So what would a strengthening movement look like? Well, for most of our clients, for our strengthening movements, we usually prescribe morning and night. Not a whole lot more than that. And also it depends on the type of strengthening movement, right? If you're doing a body weight strength movement, and once again, context matters. So let's say this particular individual is, let's just say very average across the board. Let's just say they're averagely fit, average weight, averagely strong. Let's just say they're very average. Then we're not going to have them do a super intense, super heavy form of a strength exercise multiple times a day. We're not going to do that. Typically once in the morning, once at night is a good average. We want it to feel like they put in some work, but we don't want it to be too much to where they're really sore and like they're getting more sore and more sore and more sore every day. Like if we're doing a glute med, a hip stability exercise, we don't want them to be like, oh my gosh, after the first day, like my hips are so sore, and then time to do it 2 times again the next day and the 2 times again the next day. We don't want it to be that scenario. We want it to be enough for them to feel it, enough to feel like you put some work in, but not too much so that it's leaving you sore every single time you do it. So strength-based movements, usually twice a day. Those are moderate sessions, not hard sessions. If you're going to do a hard session, we would say just once a day or once every other day. Let's say you're in the second half of our program and you're getting into the more advanced core movements, the squatting and deadlifting chapters and things like that. If you're getting back into squats and deadlifts for the first time for weeks, months, or years, we're not going to have you go do squats twice a day. That's not going to happen. Okay. So something like that, full body compound, we might only have you do that 3 times a week or twice a full week. Once again, depending on the weight, depending on where you're at, right? But if we're doing an easier glute med exercise, for example, let's say clamshells. We don't prescribe clamshells. It's a pretty useless exercise, to be honest. It's very low level. But for something like a clamshell, oh my God, you could do that 3 separate times per day. You're probably not going to be sore from it, but it's probably not going to do much either. So you see the difference in the type of strength exercise matters. The amount of force it puts on your body, the amount of stress it puts on your spine, on your muscles, on your nervous system too. The greater the stress of the movement, the less we're going to do it. These are basic strength and conditioning principles. But once again, for most strengthening-based movements, we typically prescribe our clients to do them once in the morning, once at night, usually moderate effort, so they can get some work from it. A frequent stimulus is going to be a little bit better than an infrequent large stimulus. A more frequent low stimulus or moderate stimulus is going to typically be better. So 2 different categories. One is mobility, one is stability. Mobility you can do very frequently. You got to know what mobility movement to do, though. If you're doing the wrong one for your disc or for your sciatica, you will make your condition worse. So you got to know the right one to do, or the right ones to do, in the right order to do them. And then we, like I said, we prescribe people each individual prescriptions. We tell you exactly how many to do. Mobility movements are the ones that you can get away with doing a bit more. Strength ones, though, typically morning and night, or maybe even once a day, depending on, the intensity of it. So that's a general prescription for the movements and the different types of movements that we might do. Now, one important example I really, really, really want to point out, okay? This happens almost every call we have. Probably 80% of the calls we have, this conversation comes up. The conversation of, hey, Grant, these exercises you're talking about, or, whoever's on the call with you, of course. Hey, we've done these exercises before. I've seen them. I've already tried these before. Oh yeah, I saw these on your page. I've tried these before, and they don't do anything. And we'll ask, okay, once again, we'll say, okay, how many times are we doing it? Yeah, every day. We'll say, okay, how many times are we doing it? Once a day. So much. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are prescribed a particular medication, or you're given a medication for a particular problem, and it's the right medication for you, but you kind of self-acquired it, or maybe you were given it by a not so responsible provider, and you were told to only take 1 or 2 pills a day, let's say. Okay. But let's say that in reality, for your particular condition, the most effective dose would be 5 pills a day. So the most effective dose is 5 pills a day, but you're only taking 1 or 2 a day. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm taking these every day, but I'm not seeing any progress. Oh, this is the wrong medication. No, it's not the wrong medication. It's the wrong frequency. It's the wrong prescription. And almost all of our clients are individuals who have gone through our content, gone through our exercises, tried all of them, tried them, a few times a week or even once every day. And they'll be like, hey, I've tried everything. They're not sticking. None of them's working. It's just like you're going to a big old medicine cabinet. You're trying random drugs. You're trying them for, a week at a low dose. And you're like, yeah, these aren't doing anything. It's because your prescription is wrong. You might not be doing the right movement. But even if you are doing the right movement, if you don't have the right prescription, it's not going to do anything. If you have a medical problem that requires a prescription drug and you're taking 10% of the effective dose of that prescription drug, it could be the number one drug for you. But if you're only taking 20% or 10%, it won't work. And then you might say, oh yeah, this drug doesn't work. No, you don't have the right instructions behind it. You don't have the right prescription behind it. Movement is the exact same way. Movement is medicine. You need to learn to identify what movement is the right one for you, just like identifying the right medication, and then find the effective dose behind it. That's why I wanted to give you a general idea for mobility type frequencies and strength type frequencies, so you can start to tinker with yours a little bit and change those and potentially get closer to your ultimate goal. But remember, you need to know what the right medication is and then how much to take it for your condition. This is crucial. And this is why you don't guess your way through serious medical conditions, especially like low back pain. You work with someone who can help show you this path and who can help provide you the exact prescription that's right for you. And even if you do start to stumble upon the right prescription, hey, I decided to do it this much and I'm feeling really good. You want to make sure you know that you've taken it through the fullest. Like if I'm taking let's say a drug for my gut. Okay, I've got bad bacteria in my gut. And I take it for, let's say, a couple weeks. And for those couple weeks, let's say 80% of that bad bacteria is gone, but 20% remains, but I stop early. And that 20% slowly starts regrowing again. I'm like, look, see, I thought it worked, but it ended up not working. I need something different. No, it was still the right one, and I was almost complete with it, but I didn't move to the next stage. I didn't take it long enough, or I didn't progress it appropriately. The same thing goes for movement. So if I can leave you with anything today, I want to leave you with this. For figuring out when to take your medication, aka do your movements, do your different movements for your rehab. If there are mobility movements, you can do more frequent. If there are strengthening movements, moderate intensity, usually once in the morning, once at night. But if you do not know what movement you should be doing, you are opening up a cupboard to a giant medicine cabinet. You're walking into a pharmacy, grabbing random pill bottles, taking them at random doses, hoping that it's going to help. Even if you're lucky enough to grab the right medication off the shelf of 1,000 different things, right? We have like 1,000 different exercises on our page. If you're lucky enough to grab the right medication, but then you're not taking the effective dose, it's still not going to work. So if you feel like this is you, guessing which one to do, how many times to do it, not sure when, I felt like this was working, but now it's not. Get some help. Let us help you. This is exactly what we do. We take you through an assessment and we help you determine what exercises you should be doing and how many reps, how many sets, what times of day, what order to do them in with other exercises, because there's certain exercises that can make other ones more effective. They can combine, just like different medications. Different medications can cause a bad reaction or can cause a good reaction. That's something that we go through as well. So have someone guide you through this. Take this serious. And if you've been spinning your tires for months or years on this, then let's get serious. Reach out to my team. Submit an application on our website, or as I announced in the intro of this video, go to the link in the show notes so you can schedule a time to meet with one of us and to learn about our centralization process and how that process could look for you. And once again, if you have not joined my private Facebook group, RehabFix Low Back Program, you need to do so, because there is thousands of dollars worth of content in there. Extra resources, free sciatica guides, free mobility guides, additional resources for you to learn more about your situation, what you can do about it, and get connected with myself and the rest of our clients who are in our exclusive program. You will see posts from them, comments from them about their experience, so you can learn more about it and see if it might be time for you to take that step so that you can truly get out of pain. So join this free Facebook group, RehabFix Low Back Program. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave a 5-star rating and review to help this podcast grow and reach more people. As always, move more, move in nature, move in the sun. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.